A 190-pound English Mastiff, a 7-month-old baby girl. Every neighbor said it was reckless. Every friend said it was dangerous. But what this dog did the moment that baby came through the front door, without being trained, without being asked, without anyone expecting it, made everyone who ever doubted him go completely silent. This is Duke's story. Her family warned her, her friends warned her, even her neighbor knocked on the door one Tuesday morning just to say it out loud. That dog is too big to be around a baby. But nobody warned the dog. And that turned out to be the most important part of the whole story. Her name was Rachel. She was 31 years old, living in a quiet house on the edge of a small town in Ohio. She had a 7-month-old daughter named Ellie, a husband named Tom who traveled for work 3 weeks out of every month, and a 190-pound English Mastiff named Duke, who had claimed the leather couch as his personal throne 2 years before Ellie was ever born. Duke was not aggressive, he was not dangerous, he was just enormous in a way that made people stop mid-sentence when they walked through the front door. His paws were the size of dinner plates. His head alone weighed more than most people's carry-on luggage. When he sneezed, the curtains moved. Rachel had adopted him at age 2 from a rescue in Columbus. He had belonged to an older gentleman named Harold, who had kept him well-loved but had to move into assisted living. Harold had cried the day Duke left. Rachel had cried on the drive home. Duke had pressed his entire face against the passenger window and fogged up the glass for 45 minutes straight. From the first week, he was gentle. He never knocked things over on purpose. He just happened to be the same size as most things in the room. When Rachel came home from the hospital with Ellie, Tom carried the car seat through the front door while Rachel held her breath. Duke was sitting on the couch, not pacing, not barking, just sitting, ears forward, watching the door like he had been expecting this exact moment. Tom set the car seat on the living room floor. Duke stepped down from the couch, slowly. All 190 pounds of him moved across the floor without a sound. He walked to the car seat, lowered his enormous head, and sniffed the edge of the blanket once. Then he sat down next to it, and he did not move. "Okay," Tom said quietly. "Okay." The weeks that followed were unlike anything Rachel had expected. Duke did not need to be told to be careful. He simply was. When Ellie slept in her bouncer on the living room floor, Duke lay beside her, close enough to touch, never touching. When Rachel fed Ellie on the couch, Duke sat on the floor next to them, his head resting on the cushion at Rachel's knee. He was not performing. He was not showing off. He was just there, completely, quietly, totally there. Tom started calling him the second parent. Rachel started calling him the better one. One afternoon in early spring, Rachel was making lunch in the kitchen when she heard Ellie babbling from the living room. She peeked around the doorway and stopped. Ellie had pulled herself up to a standing position against the glass door. Outside, a bird was hopping on the porch railing. Ellie was completely focused on it, one small hand pressed flat against the glass. Duke was sitting right behind her. not touching her, but positioned like a wall, like a piece of furniture that had decided, on its own, to rearrange itself around a 7-month-old. If Ellie had let go, she would not have fallen far. Rachel stood in the doorway for a long moment and did not say a word. Some things don't need explaining. People still asked, at the park, at the grocery store, at family dinners where someone always brought it up, "Isn't it scary having a dog that size with a baby?" Rachel always gave the same answer. The size was never the thing I worried about. Because it never was. Duke had never been the problem. The problem had always been the assumption, the idea that something big must also be dangerous, that something that looked intimidating couldn't also be soft, that a dog who could fill an entire couch couldn't also understand exactly how small a 7-month-old is and how carefully the world needs to hold her. By summer, Ellie had learned to crawl. Her first real destination, every single morning without exception, was Duke. She would cross the entire living room floor, moving as fast as her small arms would carry her, and arrive at Duke's side with both hands buried in the loose skin of his neck. Duke would lift his head, look at her with those slow, calm eyes, and then rest his chin back on the floor. Settled, content, home. Rachel watched them one evening from the hallway. The light was going gold through the windows. Ellie was asleep against Duke's side, one small fist curled in his fur. Duke hadn't moved in an hour. She thought about Harold, the man who had loved Duke first. She hoped somewhere, somehow, he knew where Duke had ended up. She hoped he knew his dog had found exactly the right family. And she hoped he knew that a 190-pound English Mastiff on a quiet evening in Ohio had become the softest, safest thing in one little girl's entire world. Would you bring a dog this size home to a baby? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one.